Hyun-woo Kim stood in the middle of his small dorm room, staring at the empty bed on the other side. Tomorrow, his new roommate would arrive. Not just any roommate, but an alien from another planet. He had seen pictures of Moralians before, but he had never met one in person. The room felt too quiet. Hyun-woo walked to his desk and picked up the information packet about his new roommate. The alien's name was Veltar, and they came from a planet called Neuralia. The packet said Moralians were peaceful and very smart. They could float in the air without touching the ground. Their skin was blue and see-through, like looking through colored glass. Hyun-woo put the packet down and looked around his room again. He had cleaned everything 3 times. His clothes were folded and put away. His books were lined up on his shelf. His desk was clear except for his computer and a small plant his mother had given him when he started university. The year was 2157, and Earth had been part of something called the Galactic Education Consortium for 20 years. This meant students from different planets could study at universities on other worlds. Hyun-woo was studying engineering at Seoul National University. Most human students were excited about having alien classmates, but Hyun-woo felt nervous. His phone buzzed. It was a message from his best friend Jin-ho Lee. "Are you ready for your space friend?" Jin-ho had written. Hyun-woo typed back, "I think so." "Still feels weird. I still don't trust them," Jin-ho replied. "Why do they want to study here anyway? Their technology is way better than ours." Hyun-woo frowned at his phone. Jin-ho always said things like this. He thought the aliens looked down on humans. Maybe he was right, but Hyun-woo wanted to give his new roommate a chance. Another message came through. This time from So-young Park, his childhood friend. "How are you feeling about tomorrow?" she asked. Nervous, Hyun-woo typed. "What if we have nothing to talk about?" "Just be yourself," So-young replied. "You're good at making friends." Hyun-woo smiled a little. So-young always knew what to say to make him feel better. They had grown up in the same neighborhood. Her family's shop was next to his parents' restaurant. They had walked to school together every day until high school. The next morning, Hyun-woo woke up early. He had not slept well. He kept thinking about what his alien roommate would be like. Would they think humans were stupid? Would they be able to understand each other? At 10 o'clock, there was a knock on his door. Hyun-woo opened it and saw a university staff member standing next to something that made his eyes go wide. Veltar was floating 3 feet off the ground. They were tall and thin, maybe 6.5 feet if they had been standing. Their skin was a light blue color, and Hyun-woo could see their bones and organs inside their body like shadows. It was not scary, just different. Veltar's face was longer than a human face, with large silver eyes that seemed to glow softly. "Hello," Veltar said in perfect Korean. Their voice sounded like wind chimes. "I am Veltar. You must be Hyun-woo Kim." "Yes, that's me," Hyun-woo said, trying not to stare. "Welcome to Earth. Please come in." The staff member left after helping Veltar bring in their things. Veltar had only 2 bags, both made of some kind of metal that seemed to bend like cloth. "Your room is very organized," Veltar said, floating over to look at the empty bed. "This is acceptable." Hyun-woo was not sure if that was a compliment or not. "I cleaned it for you. I hope you'll be comfortable here." Veltar nodded and began to unpack their things. They moved very slowly and carefully. Everything they took out of their bags was perfectly clean and organized. They had clothes that looked like they were made of liquid silver. They had books that were not really books, but thin pieces of crystal that glowed when touched. "How long have you been studying human culture?" Hyun-woo asked, sitting on his bed. 3 Earth years, Veltar replied without looking at him. "Your species is ... interesting, very emotional, very unpredictable." The way Veltar said emotional made it sound like a bad thing. Hyun-woo felt his face get warm. "Is that why you wanted to study here, to understand humans?" "I did not want to study here," Veltar said, finally turning to look at him. "This assignment was given to me by my education council. They believe contact with primitive species helps us understand our own evolution." Hyun-woo's mouth fell open. "Primitive?" I apologize, Veltar said quickly. That was not the correct word. Your species is developing. You still have traits that most advanced species have moved beyond. What kind of traits? Haiyan Wu asked, even though he was not sure he wanted to know the answer. Strong emotions, physical violence, unpredictable behavior. Veltar paused. But also creativity and adaptation. These are valuable in their own way. Haiyan Wu did not know what to say. He felt embarrassed and angry at the same time. He wanted to tell Veltar that humans were not primitive, but he also did not want to start a fight on their first day together. I will try not to be too emotional or unpredictable, Haiyan Wu said quietly. Veltar looked at him with their large silver eyes. You do not need to change for me. I am here to observe and learn. Please behave naturally. For the next few days, they lived together like polite strangers. Veltar woke up at exactly 6 in the morning and floated to the window. They would stay there for 30 minutes, not moving, just looking outside. Haiyan Wu learned this was how Moralians meditated. After meditation, Veltar would eat their breakfast, which came from small cubes that turned into different foods when water was added. They never made any mess and never left anything out of place. Veltar went to advanced classes that Haiyan Wu had never heard of: quantum mechanics, dimensional theory, galactic history. When they came back to the room, they would study quietly until exactly 10 at night, then go to sleep. Haiyan Wu tried to start conversations, but Veltar only gave short answers. They seemed polite but not interested in becoming friends. Sometimes Haiyan Wu caught them watching him with a curious expression, like he was an interesting animal at a zoo. How are things going with your alien roommate? So Young asked when they met for lunch on Friday. He's very quiet, Haiyan Wu said, and very clean, and he thinks humans are primitive. He said that? So Young looked surprised. Not exactly, but that's what he meant. Haiyan Wu poked at his rice with his chopsticks. I don't think he likes me very much. Maybe he's just shy, So Young suggested. It must be hard for him too, living with a human for the first time. Maybe, Haiyan Wu said, but he did not really believe it. That evening, Haiyan Wu was doing homework at his desk when his phone rang. It was his mother calling from the restaurant. How is your alien friend? She asked. He's fine, Mom. Very polite. Good. Your father wants to know if he eats human food? We could send you some kimchi, Haiyan Wu smiled. His parents always wanted to feed everyone. I don't think he eats our food, but thank you. After he hung up, he noticed Veltar watching him from across the room. Your family cares about you, Veltar said. Yes, they do, Haiyan Wu replied. Don't Moralian families care about each other? Veltar was quiet for a long moment. We care, but differently. We do not express it the same way. How do you express it? Through duty. Through service, through maintaining harmony. Veltar paused. Your way seems more intense. Haiyan Wu was not sure if that was good or bad, but at least Veltar was talking to him. Maybe there was hope for them to become real roommates after all. Neither of them knew that everything was about to change. 2 weeks had passed since Veltar arrived. Haiyan Wu was getting used to living with his alien roommate. They had found a routine that worked for both of them. Veltar would meditate in the morning while Haiyan Wu got ready for classes. In the evening, they would both study quietly at their desks. Veltar still spoke very little, but sometimes they would ask questions about human behavior. Why did humans laugh at things that were not funny? Why did they eat food that was bad for them? Why did they stay awake late when they knew they needed sleep? Haiyan Wu tried to answer these questions, but it was hard to explain things that seemed normal to him. How do you explain why something tastes good or why a joke is funny? On Tuesday evening, Haiyan Wu was working on his engineering homework when his phone rang. The caller ID showed his home number. His parents usually called on weekends, not on weekday nights. Hello, Mom? Haiyan Wu answered. Haiyan Wu. His mother's voice sounded strange, shaky. I need to tell you something important. Haiyan Wu felt his stomach drop. Something was wrong. What is it? Are you okay? Is Dad okay? Your father and I are fine, his mother said. It's about Minji. Minji was Haiyan Wu's younger sister. She was only 16 and still in high school. She was smart and funny and wanted to be a doctor someday. What about Manji? Hyan-woo asked. His hands were starting to shake. She's been feeling sick for a few weeks, tired all the time. Having trouble walking? We took her to the doctor yesterday. His mother's voice broke. Hyan-woo, she has something called Kroger's disease. Hyun-woo had never heard of Kroger's disease, but the way his mother said it made him know it was bad. Very bad. What does that mean? He asked quietly. It's a disease that attacks the nervous system, his mother explained. The doctors say it's very rare. It makes people weaker and weaker until... She could not finish the sentence. Until what, Mom? Until they can't move anymore, and then ... and then they die. The words hit Hyan-woo like a punch to the chest. He could not breathe for a moment. But there's treatment, right? Medicine? Surgery? His mother was crying now. There's a treatment. It's very new and very expensive. The doctors say it might help, but we don't know for sure. How expensive? Hyan-woo asked, even though he was afraid of the answer. 300 million won, his mother whispered. Hyan-woo felt the world spin around him. 300 million won was more money than his family had ever seen. His parents owned a small restaurant that barely made enough to pay the bills. They had worked every day for 20 years just to send him to university. We're going to sell the restaurant, his mother continued, and the house. But even that won't be enough. We're trying to get loans, but the banks... She started crying harder. Mom, don't cry, Hyun-woo said, but he was crying too. We'll find a way. There has to be something we can do. I'm so scared, Hyun-woo, his mother said. She's so young. She has her whole life ahead of her. They talked for another 20 minutes. His mother told him more about the disease and the treatment. His father got on the phone and tried to sound strong, but Hyun-woo could hear that he had been crying too when Hyun-woo finally hung up. He sat staring at his phone for a long time. Veltar was across the room at their desk working on some kind of crystal device. They had been quiet during the phone call, but Hyun-woo knew they could understand Korean. Hyun-woo tried to go back to his homework, but the words on the page did not make sense anymore. All he could think about was Minji, his little sister who used to follow him around when they were kids. Who would steal food from his plate when she thought he was not looking? Who called him every week to complain about her teachers and ask for help with her math homework. She was going to die. Unless they could find 300 million won somewhere. Hyun-woo put his head in his hands. His parents had already given up everything for him. They worked 16 hours a day at the restaurant so he could study engineering. They wore old clothes and never bought anything for themselves. And now they were going to lose everything anyway. The more he thought about it, the worse he felt. Why was he here studying when his family needed him? Why was he wasting time living with an alien who thought humans were primitive? What was the point of any of this if he could not even help his own sister? Anger started to build in his chest. Anger at the disease, anger at the expensive treatment, anger at the banks that would not help his family, anger at himself for being useless. This is not fair, he said out loud. Veltar looked up from their work. What is not fair? My sister is sick, Hyun-woo said without looking at them. She's going to die because we don't have enough money to save her. I am sorry, Veltar said in their wind chime voice. That is unfortunate, unfortunate. Like it was bad weather or a broken machine. Not like it was a 16-year-old girl who was never going to grow up and get married and have children. The anger in Hyun-woo's chest got bigger. Unfortunate? That's all you can say? I do not understand what other response you expect, Veltar said calmly. She's my sister, Hyun-woo shouted, standing up so fast his chair fell over. She's dying, and you just say it's unfortunate? Veltar floated back a little, their silver eyes wide. I was expressing sympathy. No, you weren't, Hyun-woo was yelling now. You don't care at all. You just think we're primitive animals. Well, maybe we are. Maybe we're too stupid to cure diseases or make enough money or do anything right. Hyun-woo, please calm down, Veltar said, their voice getting higher. Calm down? My sister is going? To die, and you want me to calm down? Haiyan-Wu grabbed a book from his desk and threw it across the room. It hit the wall and fell to the floor. She's 16 years old. She wants to be a doctor. She's never even been kissed. Tears were streaming down his face now, but he did not care. All the fear and anger and helplessness came pouring out of him. Why does this happen to good people? He screamed at the ceiling. My parents work so hard. They never hurt anyone. They give money to charity even when they don't have enough for themselves. And this is what they get? He picked up another book and threw it, then his pencil case. Then his coffee mug, which broke when it hit the wall. It's not fair, it's not fair, it's not fair. Each time he said it, he hit the wall with his fist. His knuckles started to bleed, but the physical pain felt better than the pain in his heart. Veltar had moved to the far corner of the room and was pressed against the wall, watching him with what looked like terror. Haiyan-Wu collapsed to his knees in the middle of the room. All his strength was gone. He put his hands over his face and sobbed like he had not cried since he was a child. I can't help her, he whispered. I can't do anything. She's going to die, and it's all my fault because I'm here instead of home working to save money. He cried until there were no more tears left. His throat hurt from screaming, his hands hurt from hitting the wall. His chest hurt from breathing so hard. When he finally looked up, Veltar was still in the corner staring at him. The aliens. Usual blue glow was flickering like a broken light bulb. I'm sorry, Haiyan-Wu said quietly. I didn't mean to scare you. But Veltar did not answer. They just kept staring with their mouths slightly open, like they had seen something impossible. The room was completely silent except for Haiyan-Wu's heavy breathing and the sound of his blood dripping on the floor from his cut knuckles. Neither of them moved for a very long time. 5 minutes passed in complete silence. Veltar had not moved from the corner of the room. Their blue glow kept flickering on and off like a broken light. Haiyan-Wu sat on the floor where he had collapsed, wiping blood from his knuckles with his shirt. Are you okay? Haiyan-Wu finally asked. Veltar did not answer right away. When they spoke, their voice was barely a whisper. What was that? What was what? Haiyan-Wu stood up slowly. His legs felt weak. That thing you just did? Veltar's silver eyes were still wide with shock. The energy, the intensity? I have never seen anything like it. Haiyan-Wu looked around the room. Books were scattered on the floor. His broken coffee mug lay in pieces by the wall. There were small drops of blood on the floor and wall where he had hit it. I lost my temper, Haiyan-Wu said quietly. I'm sorry, I know it was scary. Scary? Veltar floated down until they were only a foot off the ground. It was not scary, it was beautiful. Haiyan-Wu stared at his roommate. Beautiful? I threw things and screamed and cried. How is that beautiful? Veltar moved closer, but carefully, like they were approaching a dangerous animal. The power that came from you, I could feel it in the air. Like electricity before a storm. I don't understand. When you were angry and sad, you were not just feeling those emotions. You were creating energy, real, physical energy that I could sense. Veltar's voice was filled with wonder. How do you contain such force inside your body? Haiyan-Wu sat down on his bed. I don't know what you're talking about. I was just upset about my sister. Just upset? Veltar laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Haiyan-Wu, what you just experienced would kill most galactic species. The emotional intensity alone would stop our hearts. That can't be true. Veltar floated over to their desk and picked up one of their crystal devices. They touched it and it began to glow. Numbers and symbols appeared in the air above it. This measures energy fields, Veltar explained, when you were expressing your grief. The readings went higher than I have ever seen. Higher than our fusion reactors, higher than our weapons. Haiyan-Wu looked at the floating numbers. He could not read the alien symbols, but the graphs were going up and down like mountains. That's impossible, he said. I thought so too. Veltar touched the device again, and the display changed. But look at this. This shows the energy levels in our room right now. See how calm and steady they are? This is normal for most species. The New graph was almost flat, just small waves like a calm ocean. Now look at what happened 20 minutes ago. The graph changed again. This time it showed huge spikes and valleys like the readings from an earthquake. This was when you were crying and shouting, Veltar said. The energy was so strong that my device almost broke. Hyun-woo stared at the graphs. But I was just feeling sad and angry. Everyone feels that way sometimes. No, Veltar said firmly. Everyone does not feel that way. Most species in the galaxy cannot feel emotions that strong. We are not capable of it. What do you mean? Veltar was quiet for a long moment. They floated over to the window and looked outside at the campus. My people have not felt true anger in over 1,000 years, they said finally. We have not experienced grief like yours in even longer. How is that possible? We changed ourselves. Through science and genetic engineering, we removed the parts of our brains that create strong emotions. We thought they were dangerous and primitive. Veltar turned to look at him. We were wrong. Hyun-woo felt confused. But you have emotions. You get curious about things. You seem happy when you solve a problem. Those are not real emotions. They are just gentle preferences. Like choosing between two similar foods. Veltar's voice sounded sad, but in a distant way. What you felt tonight was like the difference between a candle and the sun. So when you said humans were primitive, I was repeating what my teachers told me. What all the advanced species believe. Veltar came closer. But primitive species do not create energy from their feelings. Primitive species do not have the power you just showed me. Han-woo thought about this. Do other humans know about this energy thing? I do not think so. Humans are the newest members of the Galactic Consortium. Your scientists are still learning about things we have known for centuries. Veltar paused. But your people might be teaching us something far more important. Like what? Like what we lost when we tried to become perfect. Han-woo stood up and started picking up the books he had thrown. I don't feel very perfect right now. I feel like I broke everything and made a mess. You did break things, Veltar agreed. But you also created something. Energy that could power a small city, passion that could move mountains. Grief so pure and strong that it made me understand what my people gave up. I still don't understand why you think it's good. I felt terrible. I wanted to hurt something. Veltar helped him pick up the pieces of the broken mug. Do you love your sister? Of course I do. Would you do anything to save her? Yes. Would you work day and night to find a cure for her disease? Yes. Would you fight anyone who tried to stop you from helping her? Yes. Veltar nodded. That is the power I felt tonight. Love so strong it becomes a weapon. Determination so fierce it bends reality. My people cannot feel love like that anymore. We cannot want anything enough to fight for it. Hyun-woo sat back down on his bed. But you're so advanced. You can fly. And you have amazing technology. We inherited that technology from our ancestors. The ones who could still feel real emotions. We have not invented anything truly new in 500 years. Veltar's voice was bitter now. We are not advanced. We are empty. Can you get your emotions back? I do not know. No one has tried in centuries. Most of my people do not even realize what we lost. Veltar looked at him with their silver eyes. But being here with you, seeing what real feeling looks like, it makes me want to try. Hyun-woo wiped his nose with his sleeve. I wish I could trade with you. You're calm for my chaos. Maybe then I could think clearly enough to help my sister. Do not wish that, Veltar said. Quickly. Your chaos, as you call it, might be the most valuable thing in the galaxy. How can grief and anger be valuable? Because they come from love, and love makes people do impossible things. Veltar picked up one of Hyun-woo's engineering textbooks. You are studying to build things, to solve problems, to make the world better. Why? Because I want to help people. I want to make my parents proud. I want to ... Hyun-woo stopped. You want to make enough money to save your sister, Veltar finished. Yes, that love, that drive, that desperate need to help her, that is fuel. Fuel for creativity and invention and miracles. Veltar set the book down carefully. My people design things because it is logical. You will design things because you love someone enough to change the world for them. Hyun-woo felt tears starting again, but quieter ones this time. What if I'm not smart enough? What if I can't help her? What if you are the smartest human who ever lived, but you just do not know it yet? Veltar asked. What if your emotions are not making you weak, but making you stronger than any of us ever imagined? Hyun-woo looked at his alien roommate floating in the middle of their messy room. Do you really believe that? After tonight? After seeing what you can do when you truly feel something? Veltar's blue glow brightened. I believe you might be the most powerful being I have ever met. Outside their window, the campus was quiet and dark, but inside the room, something had changed forever. Hyun-woo was no longer just a human student with an alien roommate. He was someone who had just learned that his greatest weakness might actually be his greatest strength. The next morning, Hyun-woo woke up feeling different. His eyes were still red from crying, and his knuckles were sore from hitting the wall. But something inside him had changed. The terrible sadness was still there, but it felt more focused. Now, like a sharp tool instead of a wild storm, Veltar was already awake, floating by the window as usual. But instead of meditating, they were staring at their crystal device. The readings are still unusual, Veltar said without turning around. What readings? The energy levels around you. Even while you sleep, they are higher than normal. Veltar turned to face him. It is like you are a generator that never stops running. Hyun-woo got dressed and tried to act normal, but he kept thinking about what Veltar had told him. Could human emotions really create energy? Could his feelings about Munji somehow help him save her? At breakfast, he met So Young and Jinho at the cafeteria. He had not told them about Minji yet. He was not ready to say the words out loud again. You look terrible, Jinho said, sitting down with his tray. Did your alien roommate keep you awake with weird space sounds? Something like that, Hyun-woo said quietly. So Young studied his face. What's wrong? You look like you've been crying. Hyun-woo took a deep breath and told them about Minji. About the disease and the expensive treatment and his parents selling everything they owned. So Young started crying before he finished talking. Jinho just sat there with his mouth open. 300 million won? Jinho whispered. That's impossible. No one has that much money. Rich people do, So Young said, wiping her eyes. But not people like us. There has to be something we can do, Hyun-woo said. I can't just sit here studying while she gets sicker. Maybe you could get a loan, So Young suggested. What bank would loan that much money to a college student? Jinho shook his head. This is hopeless. Hyun-woo felt the anger rising in his chest again. Don't say that. There has to be a way. I'm sorry, Jinho said quickly. I didn't mean to make you feel worse. But Hyun-woo was not listening anymore. He was thinking about what Veltar had said, about love being fuel for miracles, about emotions. Making people do impossible things. After breakfast, Hyun-woo went to his engineering classes, but he could not concentrate. His professor was talking about energy systems and power generation, but all Hyun-woo could think about was his sister. During lunch, he got a text message from a number he did not recognize. Please come to Professor Yoon's office immediately. Building 3, room 205. Hyun-woo had never heard of Professor Yoon, but he went to the address anyway. The office was in the Advanced Research Building where only graduate students and professors usually went. Professor Yoon Hae-jin was a middle-aged woman with short gray hair and kind eyes. Her office was full of strange machines and computer screens showing data that Hyun-woo could not understand. Sit down, please, she said in a gentle voice. I am Dr. Yoon. I study xenobiology. Xenobiology? The study of alien life forms, including how they interact with humans. She leaned forward in her chair. Your roommate Veltar came to see me this morning. They were very excited about something they observed last night. Hyun-woo felt his face get hot. They told you about my breakdown? They told me about the energy readings they recorded. May I see your hands? Hyun-woo held out his hands. The knuckles were still swollen and had small cuts on them. Dr. Yoon took out a small device that looked like a flashlight and pointed it at his hands. The device beeped and showed numbers on a tiny screen. "Interesting," she said. "The cellular activity is much higher than normal. Your body is healing faster than it should. Is that bad?" "On the contrary, it might be very good." Dr. Yoon set the device down. "Hyun-woo, what do you know about quantum biology?" "Nothing. It is the study of how quantum physics affects living things. For years, scientists thought quantum effects were too small to matter in biology, but we were wrong." She turned her computer screen so he could see it. "Look at this." The screen showed a video of cells dividing and growing, but these cells were glowing with a soft light. These are human cells taken from volunteers who were experiencing strong emotions. Love, anger, grief. The stronger the emotion, the brighter the glow. What makes them glow? Quantum energy. When humans feel deep emotions, their cells start behaving like tiny quantum computers. They process information faster, heal quicker, and create energy. Dr. Yoon pointed to the brightest cells on the screen. These came from a mother whose child was in danger. The energy output was incredible. Hyung-woo stared at the glowing cells. So Veltar was right? Human emotions really do create energy? More than that. They create focused, directed energy that can be used to solve problems and power devices. Dr. Yoon opened another file on her computer. But here is the most amazing part. This only happens with humans. What do you mean? We have tested volunteers from 12 different alien species. None of them show quantum cellular activity, no matter how much they claim to feel. Their emotions are too weak to trigger the effect. Hyun-woo thought about what Veltar had told him about their people giving up strong emotions. So we are the only ones who can do this. As far as we know, yes. And the effect gets stronger when the emotions are connected to love or the desire to protect someone. Dr. Yoon looked at him seriously. Veltar told me about your sister. I am very sorry. Thank you. They also told me that your energy readings last night were the highest they have ever recorded, higher than our most advanced power sources. Hyun-woo felt a strange mix of hope and fear. What does that mean? It means you might be able to do things that no one else can do, solve problems that have been impossible for centuries. Create technologies that could change the world, Dr. Yoon paused, including medical technologies. You think I could find a cure for Minji's disease? I think your love for your sister might give you the power to try things that others could not even imagine. That afternoon, Hyun-woo went back to his dorm room with his head spinning. Veltar was waiting for him with more crystal devices spread across their desk. Dr. Yoon told you about the quantum effects? Veltar asked. Yes, but I still don't understand how it works. Think of it this way, Veltar said, floating over to him. When you feel strong emotions, your brain sends signals to every cell in your body. These signals are so powerful that they change how your cells behave at the quantum level. Like how? They make your cells work together like parts of a giant computer. The stronger your emotions, the more powerful the computer becomes. Veltar touched one of their devices and it projected a hologram into the air. This is a scan of your brain from last night. The hologram showed a human brain, but it was covered in bright lights that pulsed and moved like lightning. Most human brains show some quantum activity, Veltar explained. But yours was like looking at a star. The neural quantum fields were so strong they affected matter around you. Is that why your device almost broke? Yes, and it explains something else. Veltar changed the hologram to show Hyun-woo's whole body. Look at your academic performance over the past 2 weeks. Numbers appeared next to the body outline. Test scores, homework grades, problem-solving times. Your scores have been improving steadily since I arrived. Not because you are studying harder, but because your brain is processing information more efficiently. Hyun-woo looked at the numbers. Veltar was right. His grades had been getting better without him really noticing. The quantum effects are making you smarter? He asked. Not smarter, more focused, more creative. Better at seeing connections between different ideas. Veltar smiled, which looked strange on their alien face. Your emotions are not just creating energy, they are making you into a better problem solver. So when I was crying about min-g ... you were not just expressing grief. You were programming your brain to find a solution. Every cell in your body is now focused on one goal, saving your sister. Hyun-woo sat down heavily on his bed. But what if I can't? What if even with all this quantum stuff, I'm still not good? Enough? Veltar floated down until they were at eye level with him. Then you will have tried harder than anyone in galactic history, and that will mean something. Outside their window, other students were walking to their evening classes. They looked so normal and carefree. None of them knew that one of their classmates had just discovered he might have the power to bend reality with his feelings. Hyun-woo looked at his hands. They looked the same as always, but now he knew they were connected to quantum forces. He could not even understand. What do I do now? He asked. Now, Veltar said, you start learning how to use the most powerful force in the galaxy. The love of a human being who refuses to give up. 3 days after meeting Dr. Yoon, Hyun-woo felt like his brain was on fire. Not in a painful way, but like every thought was burning brighter and clearer than before. He was solving engineering problems that had puzzled him for weeks. He was understanding concepts that used to seem impossible, but the best part was that he could feel himself getting closer to an answer for Min-ji. Veltar had been helping him access the Galactic Research Database. As a consortium student, Veltar had clearance to read scientific papers from dozens of different worlds. They spent hours together, with Veltar translating alien medical research while Hyun-woo looked for patterns and connections. This is interesting, Veltar said, floating over their desk covered in crystal devices. The Andromedans had a similar disease to your sister's condition 300 years ago. What happened? Did they cure it? They tried for 50 years. Then they gave up and declared it incurable, Veltar paused. But look at this data. They never tried the approach you suggested yesterday. Hyun-woo looked at the holographic display showing alien medical data. Yesterday, while reading about nerve diseases, he had suddenly thought of something. What if Kroger's disease was not really one disease, but 3 different problems happening at the same time? What if treating them separately would work better than treating them together? It was not a normal thought for a second-year engineering student to have. But nothing about Hyun-woo felt normal anymore. The Andromedans treated it as a single condition, Veltar continued. They never considered that multiple smaller treatments might be more effective than one large one. Maybe they could not think of it that way because their emotions were not strong enough, Hyun-woo said. Dr. Yoon said creativity comes from quantum emotional effects. That is possible. Veltar touched their device and new information appeared. But there is something else. Something I have not told you about the Galactic Consortium. What do? You mean? Veltar was quiet for a long moment. When they spoke, their voice sounded worried. The consortium did not invite humans to join because they wanted to help your species develop. They invited you because they need something from you. Hyun-woo felt cold suddenly. What do they need? Your emotions. Your creativity, your ability to solve problems that we cannot solve? Veltar turned away from their device. The galaxy is dying, Hyun-woo. Not physically, but intellectually? We have not had a major scientific breakthrough in over 200 years, but you have such advanced technology. We inherited that technology, we did not create it. Veltar's blue glow dimmed. Our ancestors, the ones who still had strong emotions, they built the ships and the cities and the medical devices. We just maintain them. Hyun-woo thought about this. So when you said humans were primitive, I was repeating a lie. A lie we tell ourselves to feel better about what we have become. Veltar floated closer. Humans are not primitive. You are what we used to be before we made ourselves empty. Why did you give up your emotions if they were so important? Because strong emotions are dangerous. They cause wars and violence and chaos. Our leaders decided it was better to be peaceful and stable than creative and passionate. Veltar looked sad in their distant way. They were wrong, but by the time we realized it, we had forgotten how to feel. Henwu stood up and walked to the window. Outside, alien students were walking with human students, talking and laughing together. It looked so normal and friendly. So the consortium is using us, he said. Not using hoping, they hope that. By studying humans, they can learn how to restore emotions to their own species. But they are also afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid that if humans become too powerful, you will not need them anymore. Afraid that emotional humans with advanced technology will be unstoppable. Veltar paused. They are right to be afraid. What? Do you mean Veltar accessed their database again? New files appeared in the air between them. These are classified consortium documents. I should not be showing them to you, but you need to know the truth. The documents showed charts and graphs, and reports in different alien languages. Veltar translated as they went through them. This report is about human innovation rates. In 20 years of consortium membership, humans have proposed more new scientific ideas than the rest of the galaxy combined in the past century. That can't be right. It is. And most of those ideas came from humans who were experiencing strong emotions. Love, loss, anger, hope. Veltar showed him another document. This one is about human students in galactic universities. They consistently outperform students from other species, but only when they care deeply about their work. Like when they are trying to help someone they love. Exactly. Veltar's voice became urgent. There is more. The consortium has been running secret experiments. They have been exposing volunteer subjects from different species to situations designed to create strong emotions. What kind of situations? Simulated danger to loved ones, artificial grief and loss, manufactured anger and injustice. Veltar looked sick. They are trying to artificially recreate what humans feel naturally. Did it work? No, other species cannot handle emotional intensity. The volunteers either felt nothing or became mentally ill. Veltar showed him medical reports covered in alien symbols. 3 subjects died from emotional shock. Henwu felt angry and scared at the same time. So they want to study us to learn our secrets, but they can't actually become like us. Which means humans will always be unique in the galaxy. You will always be the only species that can feel deeply enough to create quantum effects. Veltar paused. That makes you incredibly valuable and incredibly dangerous. Dangerous how? A species that can think more clearly, create more effectively, and solve problems faster than anyone else? A species that gets stronger when they love someone enough? Veltar looked at him seriously. Humans could rule the galaxy if you wanted to. Henwu sat back down on his bed. This was too much to think about. I don't want to rule the galaxy. I just want to save my sister, I know. But the consortium leaders are worried that other humans might not feel the same way. Veltar accessed another file. They have contingency plans. Ways to limit human expansion. Ways to control human emotional development. Like what? Emotional suppressants in the water supply? Mandatory counseling to reduce excessive feelings. Legal limits on how many humans can study advanced sciences. Veltar's glow flickered with what looked like anger. They want to make you like us, empty and calm and controllable. Henwu felt the quantum fire in his brain burn brighter. They want to take away our emotions. Yes, because they know that emotional humans are the most powerful force in the galaxy. But without emotions, we would not be able to solve the problems they need us to solve. They have not thought that far ahead. They are too afraid to think clearly. Veltar moved closer. Which is why what you are doing is so important. What am I doing? You are proving that human emotions are not dangerous when they are focused on love and protection. You are showing that the most powerful human abilities come from caring about others, not from wanting to hurt them. Henwu looked at his hands again. They still looked normal, but now he knew they were connected to forces that could reshape the galaxy. If I can cure Minji's disease, I will prove that human emotions are good for everyone. Yes, and if you cannot cure it with conventional methods, you might invent completely new ones. Veltar smiled. Either way, you will show the galaxy what humans are really capable of. Outside their window, the sun was setting. Soon it would be time for dinner, then evening classes, then sleep. Normal activities for normal students, but Haiyan-Wu was not normal anymore. He was carrying the hopes of his family, the future of his species, and the secret power that could change everything. There is one more thing, Veltar said quietly. What? If the consortium realizes how powerful you are becoming, they might try to stop you. Han-Wu looked at his alien roommate floating in the growing darkness. Then I guess I better cure my sister before they figure it out. Yes, Veltar agreed. You better. 2 weeks later, Haiyan-Wu had not slept for 3 days. His eyes were red and his hands shook from too much coffee, but his mind had never been clearer. The quantum effects in his brain were so strong now that Veltar-S devices could barely measure them. He was close to something. He could feel it. On his desk were papers covered with equations and diagrams that looked nothing like normal engineering work. Dr. Yoon had given him access to the university's advanced medical research lab, and he had been working there every night after classes. You need to rest, So Young said, bringing him another cup of coffee. She had been helping him research for the past week, even though she did not understand most of what he was doing. I can't rest, not yet. Han-Wu pointed to a complex diagram on his computer screen. Look at this. What if we don't try to cure the disease at all? What do you mean? What if we give the body new tools to work around the disease? Like building a bridge over a broken road instead of fixing the road. Jinho, who was sitting in the corner reading medical journals, looked up. That's crazy. No one has ever tried anything like that. That's because no one has ever had quantum-enhanced creativity, Veltar said from where they floated near the window. Haiyan-Wu's brain is making connections that would be impossible for normal thinking. Normal thinking, Jinho repeated. Listen to yourself. You're talking about our friend like he's some kind of machine. He is not a machine, Veltar said calmly. He is something much more powerful. He is a human being who refuses to accept that his sister will die? Haiyan-Wu was barely listening to their conversation. He was staring at his latest calculations, feeling pieces of the puzzle click together in his mind. The neural pathways, he whispered. What if we don't repair them? What if we build new ones? He started writing equations so fast that his hand could barely keep up with his thoughts. The quantum energy in his brain was turning his love for Minji into pure problem-solving power. This could work, he said, his voice getting louder. Instead of fixing the damaged nerves, we create artificial ones. Tiny machines that connect to the brain and do the job of the broken parts. Dr. Yoon, who had been working late in her own lab, came over to look at his work. Neural nanobots? She said, reading his notes. Han-Wu, this technology doesn't exist. It would take decades to develop. No, it wouldn't. Han-Wu turned to face her, his eyes bright with excitement. Look at these specifications. The quantum effects let me see exactly how to build them. I know what materials to use, how to program them, how to make them safe. Dr. Yoon studied his diagrams more carefully. These designs ... they're incredibly detailed. How did you think of this? I didn't think of it. I felt it, Haiyan-Wu tapped his chest. Every cell in my body is focused on saving Minji. The quantum fields are showing me solutions I never could have imagined normally. But building something like this would require resources we don't have. Advanced manufacturing equipment. Rare materials, millions of dollars. Han-Wu's face fell. For a moment, the fire in his brain dimmed. Then it doesn't matter how good the design is. Wait, Veltar said suddenly. There might be a way. Everyone turned to look at the alien student. The consortium has strict rules about sharing advanced technology with developing species, Veltar explained. But they make exceptions for medical emergencies. If we could prove that this design would work, they might provide the equipment needed to build it. How do we prove it would work without building it first? So Young asked. We demonstrate the underlying principles, Dr. Yoon said, her voice getting excited. If Haiyan Wu's quantum effects are real, he should be able to create a small version of these nanobots. Something simple enough to build with our current equipment. But would that be enough to convince the consortium? Jinho asked. Veltar was quiet for a moment. Not the consortium leadership. They would find reasons to deny the request. But there are other consortium members who would support this project if they saw proof it could work. Like who? Scientists from species that have lost loved ones to incurable diseases. Medical researchers who went into their fields because they wanted to help people but found themselves limited by political decisions. Veltar's glow brightened. There are more of us than you might think. Over the next week, Haiyan Wu worked 18 hours a day to build a prototype of his neural nanobots. The quantum effects were so strong now that he barely needed to eat or sleep. His love for Minji was literally keeping his body running. Dr. Yoon helped him access the university's nanotechnology lab. So Young and Jinho took turns bringing him food and making sure he did not collapse from exhaustion. Veltar used their consortium access to gather support from sympathetic alien scientists. The prototype was smaller than a grain of rice, but it contained everything needed to prove the concept. Haiyan Wu programmed it to repair damaged neural connections in lab-grown tissue samples. Are you ready? Dr. Yoon asked, standing next to the testing equipment. Haiyan Wu nodded. His hands were shaking, but not from tiredness. This was it. Everything depended on the next few minutes. Dr. Yoon activated the prototype. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the damaged tissue on the screen began to glow softly. New neural pathways formed before their eyes, connecting parts of the tissue that had been broken. It works, So Young whispered. It actually works? Jinho said, staring at the screen in amazement, but Haiyan Wu was not celebrating yet. This is just tissue in a lab. Minji is a real person with a complex disease. We need to scale this up by a factor of millions. Which is where we come in, said a new voice. Everyone turned to see 3 alien figures standing in the doorway. Haiyan Wu had never seen species like these before. One looked like a tall plant with silver leaves. Another was covered in fur and had 6 arms. The third was made of what looked like living crystal. I am Dr. Cathara from the Verdanian Medical Institute, said the plant-like alien. Veltar contacted us about your work. We have been waiting centuries for a breakthrough like this, said the furry alien. My people lost thousands to a similar disease before we gave up trying to cure it. The Consortium Council will try to stop this, said the crystal alien. They fear human innovation. But we represent 12 different medical organizations across the galaxy. If we all support your project, they cannot refuse. Dr. Yoon looked amazed. You're willing to help us build the full-scale version? More than willing, Dr. Cathara. Sighed, eager. This technology could save lives across dozens of worlds. But there is one condition, the crystal alien added. You must demonstrate the technology publicly. Show the entire galaxy what human emotions can accomplish when they are focused on love instead of conquest. Haiyan Wu felt the quantum fire. In his brain burned brighter than ever. You want me to prove that humans are not dangerous. We want you to prove that humans are the most valuable species in the galaxy, Dr. Cathara said. Not because you are powerful, but because you use that power to help others. 3 months later, Haiyan Wu stood in a medical facility on Consortium Station 1, the galaxy's capital. Representatives from 47 different worlds were watching as he prepared to inject the first full-scale neural nanobots into a volunteer. The patient was Minji. She had gotten much sicker while he was developing the cure, but she had insisted on being the first to try the treatment. If my big brother invented it, she had said, then I trust it completely. Haiyan Wu's parents stood nearby, holding hands and trying not to cry. So Young and Jinho were there too, along with Dr. Yoon and dozens of alien scientists who had helped make this moment possible. Veltar floated next to Haiyan Wu, their blue glow steady and calm. Are you ready? Veltar asked quietly. Haiyan Wu looked at his sister lying on the medical table. She smiled at him and gave him a thumbs up. I'm ready, he said. He activated the injection system. Millions of tiny nanobots flowed into Minji's bloodstream, guided by quantum fields that had been created by love and shaped by determination. For the first few minutes, nothing visible happened. Then Minji's vital signs began to improve. The damaged neural pathways in her brain started to reconnect. Her muscle control began to return. "It's working," Dr. Yoon announced to the watching crowd. Cheers erupted from the alien observers. Several of them were crying, which surprised Hyun-woo because he had thought most aliens could not feel emotions that strongly. "You did it," Veltar said, their voice full of wonder. "You actually did it." But Hyun-woo was not listening to the cheers or the congratulations. He was watching his sister sit up on the medical table and reach out to hug him. "Thank you, big brother," she whispered in his ear that night. Representatives from the Consortium Council came to see Hyun-woo. They looked nervous and afraid. "Your technology will need to be regulated," the lead representative said. "Shared. Carefully, controlled properly." "No," Hyun-woo said simply. "Excuse me?" I said no. "This technology was created by human emotions to save human lives. It will be shared freely with anyone who needs it." Hyun-woo looked at the council representatives calmly. "And if you try to stop that, you'll discover exactly how dangerous emotional humans can be when someone threatens the people they love." The representatives left without another word. Dr. Kathara approached Hyun-woo afterward. "You realize this changes everything? You have proven that human emotions are not just